We're here today speaking with Ovide Pilon, who everybody knows in Saskatchewan. You've had an amazing career. You've played music almost your whole life and still going at it. So let's go back to the beginning. Tell me about your childhood and how you first learned how to play some music.
The beginning was about probably 1961, and I'm not sure why that the year was that. I was probably about, how old was I then? About 40, I think. And so I decided to get myself a piece of stick and go to my mom and dad's mirror, and I just gave her, I had a big crowd and stuff like this, and I'd go outside and, kind of make myself a little stage, and millions and millions of people were watching my concert with that piece of stick that I was playing on and stuff like this. And then we went down to Prince Albert. We moved there shortly after, and what happened there is I heard my sister, she had a guitar in the attic, but it's an old piece of junk. So I said, hey, that old piece of junk, can I try it? Oh, it's in the attic. It's hard to get up in the attic. And oh man, I could feel it. My heart was pumping and everything else, right? So that's fine. So then finally, begging and begging, it might have taken a month or 2 or 3 or whatever it is, she finally took it out. And it had 3 strings on it. But I didn't know 3 strings or 40 strings on a guitar. It was a guitar. I knew the shape of a guitar. So finally, I got it. And the reason I got it is because my sister used to go out with this one guy by the name of Nappy Arcan, and that was his guitar. And why it was up in the attic, I don't know. It had all these nice and cowboys and stuff like this on there, right? So that's fine. So then did that part, and then my brothers used to have a few drinks, and that's not exaggerating, going back and went back to the farm. We moved back on the farm in '63. We were in Batoche until then we had gone to Prince Albert for a couple of years. So when we went back in '63, whatever it was, I wanted to play this thing, and but my brother's friend by the name of Gerry Fiddler came over, and he was a hot guitar player. Now I think about it, and he said, well, I know you can't play, he says, but I can tune up the guitar open like a steel guitar for you. So he did, but first of all I had to get some strings, but get some strings first. And I got 3 more strings, I think it was, because we only had 3 and they were only about, 30 years old, right? So I did that, and I played, I learned a bit on steel, played a little bit of steel guitar in that, and then finally we went to a wedding, but this guy was moving his fingers, and I figured, well, that's not steel, that's, he's doing something with his fingers and that, so I want that too. So then he came back, my brother came back, he used to come the odd time with his friend, and he said, okay, I'll teach you a couple chords and that. I didn't really know, then he untuned my guitar, because then he tuned it the right way. So the right way was, I figured, then I'm out of tune now, oh my goodness. So then I went to a wedding, and I'd go outside in the wedding, and I'd stand right in front of the guitar player. He must have thought I was going to shoot him or kill him, probably, whatever it was. And I'd go outside, and I had my book written down 6 strings and different frets and stuff like this. And then I'd say a C's this much, so this goes on the 2nd, this goes on the 4th and the 5th, and etc. And that's how I studied my music. And because I had nobody lessons, what is that? Nobody's teaching. So then I managed to learn, I'm making the story a little bit shorter here, I managed to learn some ventures. And how I ever did that, it must have been from hearing them more often than none on the old radio that used to come on and off, mostly off and on, And did that part, and then I was 15 years old, and there was a band playing in Bellevue, in Dormy, and they said, could you come out and and see us play there? And I went there, and Dad drove me there, and I figured, he mentioned something about playing maybe. So Mom bought me a shirt with all the fringes on it and stuff like this, and I figured, whoa. So I went down to Dormy, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting. Finally they said, would you like to come up? I said, whoa, man. I must have ran like 100 miles an hour on that stage. And I sang the song, I'm a Roadrunner, baby, wow, stuff like this, right? And that was so cool. And I got up the stage, and I had fans coming out from, I think, the other side of the world, so that was great. So that really got me thinking, man, I guess that's my thing now. So then I started playing a bit of music. Then I had my friend of mine, they had some money anyways, and they got a guitar, so I would play the Ventures, and I taught them how to play rhythm. And by teaching them how to play rhythm guitar and the chords, it taught me also. It made me a better player, I guess. And that's how I first started doing my thing itself. And then I played for that same group I'd seen in Dorming Boat some years later. We played for the odd weddings and that, and they said, well, we need a bass player, we don't need a guitar player now. And I figured, I'll play bass. I didn't know what that was. I thought maybe that was something on the ground or whatever it was, but it had 4 strings, and I played that mother. I don't think I was any good at it, but I played it. And then came to Saskatoon, and I still went back and forth the odd time. I think I did 2 gigs a year, but I wanted a lot more than that. So then I went to work at Intercon, and probably my first day of Intercon that I was there, I was looking for musicians. 600 people or 1,000 people working. It's got to be musicians, because I wanted a band. So I found the guy by the name of John Chobatar, and then he knew Dan McConnell, and then I said, have you got a drummer? So then I looked around, and I knew this John Lafontaine guy, so we called Just Us, what it was called, the band. So we started practicing, and that's basically how I started. And then, speaking of John Sk and that, the group decided gave us a break to play at the Imperial Room at the King George Hotel. So we did that part, and but first we had to join the union. Dan was in there, but and when we joined the union, John Kolenchuk was the one involved with Dan in the union itself, and he gave us heck. He spanked us big time, because why didn't you guys come to me before? Now that you want a gig, blah, 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 right? But to make a long story short, we kind of ignored that. We just wanted to rock and roll anyway. So that's how I first started, and then I think I was a good guitar player, rhythm player. I think I was good at that, and the odd licks and that. Then finally we broke up the band in '74, I believe, and I figured I got to do something here. So then I decided to get records and study my music. Instead of taking lessons from someone, I guess I wasn't aware that there was teachers then, and I started playing on my own records. I must have worn them down, I guess, so did that. And in '78 I joined a band called Josh Crabshaw with Gene Cook and Vern Hudson, and then he decided that we needed to wear tuxedos, so we wore tuxedos for Turnpike Revue, we were called then, because we didn't want to be a Josh Crabshaw anymore. We were like the Class A now, right? And we played the odd nightclubs around town, Yips, Jack's, and on, and King George Hotel, and we made about $2 million. It was a...
So let's go back a step just to get more details on this group. So Justice is your first band.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a play on words, Justice, or did you
specifically 2 words, like
just us?
Yeah.
You wanted to get that across,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And so what kind of set list material did you guys play?
We played lots of Waylon Jennings, because Dan McConnell was the best for that, right? And we played lots of Merle Haggard and Charley Pride, and I think I sang 3 songs, and that was it. But kudos to Dan McConnell. To me, he had a big heart, because of he basically he had patience. He mind you, like I said, I knew my chords, I knew them well, stuff like this. But he had patience, And then harmony, like I said, and I'll take you back. I guess I'm moving too fast. No, that was after that. I'd sing harmony, but the third was my forte, right, into harmonies. But everybody wanted that one, because everybody knows a third when you start singing, I guess. Then we moved to that with the Turnpike Revue thing, going back a couple steps more now. At Turnpike Revue, I remember so well that I sang flat one day, and we never had any monitors. And Vern Hudson said to me, "Okay, Pilon, next time you do this again, singing flat, you're going to have to sing loud. In other words, you wouldn't give me a microphone, So, and that's basically, and then you don't want to lose your gig, right? So, boy, did you sure learn how to sing, I guess, not flat or sharp, you just try to follow it, right? So that was one of the spanking that I got, but to me, to this day, it helped a lot itself, I got a few bruises, my legs were all bruised up, he kicked me and everything else, but aside from that, it was good.
So did you guys go on the road? Did you travel like around the province, or did you just play Saskatoon?
Around the province. Yeah, we were everywhere. We the good thing is, Gene Cook was involved with Music City then, and somebody would, I think they had like 57 bands then, and I think when they phoned for a band, Gene had just signed us for, let's say, $600 or whatever, and then he'd get something. Probably they needed a band for tomorrow, for instance. They'd say, well, we need more than that, So Gene would give the $600 gig to somebody, and we'd get our $100 more or whatever it was, So that's how we did it. But we traveled quite a bit around town. But the money you'd make then, you spent on amplifiers and guitars. So let's say you made $60 or $90, and you'd spend $350 on an amplifier. So. But you never looked at that, though. You always looked at what you made, kind of. But you really, musicians kind of, you run in the hole, right? And if anybody tells you any different, I don't know where they've been. But I think most musicians in this town, like they say, if you want to make it big, first of all, go out of Saskatchewan. So, but anyways, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that, and it was always an experience, stuff like this. And then came a time, but I always had to have another guitar player plays lead, and I didn't like that, so I started studying my own thing itself. And as a matter of fact, it was one time me and your dad in 1979. Was it 79 or 80? We did some jamming and that, and I believe one of us got Albert Lee's those big cassettes or whatever it is to learn how to play some country licks and stuff like that. So it helped out a whole lot, actually, And that's basically then.
Let's put this timeline together so it's clear to me. So Just Us started in what, 71?
71.
And you said it went till 74.
Yeah.
And was it basically you promoted yourself as a country band? Or did you do a bit of country and rock, whatever?
Well, I think we called it MOR then.
Right.
But Dan was the one in charge. All we knew was he'd phone us and say, "Hey, we're playing in Eston, or whatever." We played there, So, and small town boys would go to Eston, and there was things there. $3 was the steak, bacon, and eggs, and the whole bit, and $3.25 was with the steak. Guess what we have? Yes, steak and eggs.
Do you remember? Did the band rehearse a lot?
Yeah, we rehearsed. But I don't think it was a serious band. Maybe it was. I think I kind of took my music serious all the time. But there was always having a drink, right, at the practice, and I don't think I ever really cared for that, And to this day now, I don't at all, And but it was a fun band. It was a great experience. Like I said, kudos to Dan McConnell because he had a lot of patience to keep me on as another guitar player. But he needed a good, solid guitar player that would not try to play lead, and I couldn't because I didn't know. So that was quite all right. Enjoyed that very much. Oh yeah, that was great. And then, like I said, then one thing to another and everything else. And then after Intercon, that was 78, 79, I guess. Then I worked assembling machinery for a couple of years, and that was dangerous as heck, but made a couple dollars, right? So, and then I started playing for my own band in 1980, I believe, called Dusty. And it was country rock band with it was Gene Stadnick, and there was I think we went through about 3-4 different bass players for that. I'm not sure why. And then what's his name, Bob Pennington, he was a good guitar player, and they fired I believe his name was Al Ripchinsky, I think it was, to get me on, And the reason I say his name is because my ex-wife would say stuff like, "Well, he's such a good guitar player," right? And I always thought, well, man, you know what? I think I'm as good as he is, but that's a little story anyway. So then we started doing country rock band. Then there was Tornado Warning and Dusty doing university gigs and that was pretty cool for about 5 years. In those 5 years, we opened up for One Horse Blue. And apparently, CKOM was the one sponsoring that, and they said there was 18,300. How they came up with that number, I still don't know. Many years later.
Where was the show?
Besborough Park. Yeah, One Horse Blue, and I was a fan of those guys.
So the band Just Us ended in 1974. Tell me about that.
Well, there was four of us, like I said. John Chobatar on bass, Dan McConnell was the leader, and he picked the songs, and he was the guitar player, and I was the rhythm guitar player, and John Lafontaine was the drummer, and mostly Merle Haggard's and what's their names, Stampeders, stuff like this, and but Dan would pick all the songs because he was the boss, right? And we'd say, okay, and that was that. And as far as traveling goes, we would do, like I said, the King George, the Yips thing and that. But as far as playing out of town, I think we had some spots like Elrose, Eston, and there'd be the odd one that would be, the odd wedding, I guess. And it wasn't something that we'd be booked, right? So, and then all of a sudden we quit. Well, Dan said that he figured he'd had enough with the band now, and some people get tired, I guess, right? They get tired of you or the music or whatever. So then he left and moved on, and then that's when I panicked. I figured, oh, man, I got to study my guitar now. I got to become my own lead guitar player, and that's when I spent a lot of time on playing with not CDs but records, right? I play records, and man, I was trying to find myself, and then I was trying to. I'm not sure why I learned some scales from somewhere somehow. And that's the way it was. And then that was 19, yeah. So then 1980, 79, 80, first of all, I basically quit playing, and I would just practice my guitar. And then there's a Ukrainian band that wanted me to play with them. Steve Prudo and those guys, right? Lonesome Steve. And so I played with them, and I think they were giving my $80, and whether I was traveling 80 miles or 8,000 miles didn't really matter. $80 was big money, right? And did that part, and then I started doing a disco called Dance and Man Disco in 1970. Well, same time as the Ukrainian thing, and called Dance and Man Disco. I'm not sure why. So I bought some 2x2s, put some Christmas tree lights, and I made like a star inside the thing in the hall in Hoey. And then I dealt with 6 high schools. I picked the leader of the school from whatever, from St. Louis, from Waka, stuff like this, and they'd get in free though, hey. So, and I'd get probably close to 100 kids. It was kind of great. The halls are not that big, right? So it was a lot of fun doing that. And the band Dusty, they were called something else, and I think Bob Hoknes played with that band, whatever they were called. So I think Bob moved on. Was that particular band? But the different members came in anyways. Sometimes when you try out different guys come in and whatever. And then they had Al Ripchinsky, like I said, and then they came to see me at my disco, my Dance and Man disco. They said, look, come and play with us. We want you to be our guitar player. I said, I can't play with you guys. You guys already got somebody. And there's a time in life, that you tell yourself, I don't really want to take this guy's gig over, right? And they said, no. If you say yes today, like, we're going to take you tomorrow. Like, So I said, well, I got to think about that. So I think an hour later I told him. I said, sure. So anyways, so that was that. And we played for a lot of university gigs. And we play Wednesdays, we play Thursdays, Friday and Saturdays were booked pretty well too, right? Like, you're not playing for big money, but you're playing, right? So, and so that was quite successful. We even played in I'm not sure what year, in the mid-80s, I believe. Would have been 84, maybe 83. We opened up for One Horse Blue in the Park. And that's when they had all these people, right? And the group Dusty was Bob Pennington, Gene Stadnick, and Dale Horan we had for a while. And then we had, he passed away, like, we killed him, We used to kill our bass players, We didn't like them, Anyways, we went through a few bass players because they would just quit, or we didn't like the way drugs was not a thing in the group. And somehow we picked on bass players. I'm not sure they still are bass players that smoke up, but they did then. It seems that's we were kind of making a big joke out of that. So, and that was the band Dusty, and we basically played quite a bit, I believe we did, yeah. And then what happened? We would quit, and then I'm still searching, but I'm getting to be a pretty killer guitar player. Oh man, the world wanted me out there, right, big time, and so I met with Ken Reinhart. And I bugged him a couple times. I said, I hear you played for a band called whatever they were called. And he says, yeah, but whatever. He says, but not sure if we're going to quit, because that was his brother-in-law and his friend. So finally we had a jam, and me and him started playing together, and then we got, again, drummers. We went through a few drummers and that, but yeah, we played, that's when the group England started, actually. And drummers, we went through a lot of drummers. For what reason, I'm not sure why, but maybe they got a job. They wanted to make more money, I don't know, because we were having a good time, right? And we had full-time jobs, and the drummers probably didn't, so that was the difference, and I see their point. Yeah, and then somehow in between then and that broke up in '85, I believe. Well, I missed one there. Josh Crabshaw happened in the late '70s. That was Vern Hudson, Gene Cook, Don Sproul, Doug Craig was another drummer we had. We went through a lot of musicians, but what's his name? Vern Hudson was the man. You know.
What kind of music was that group?
MOR music, rock and roll, yeah, and Smoke on the Water and stuff like this, and on and on. Like Gene Cook he knew a lot of tunes, right? So.
And did that group travel much?
That group traveled, but basically it was a Saskatchewan travel, is what it was, right? And they didn't want to play weddings because they wanted to be rock stars, you know. And I said, yeah, well, you bet we want to be rock stars here.
So when you traveled, who had the PA system? Who had the vehicle?
Vern Hudson we would rent a vehicle, and we had a big mother system. I'm not sure there was room for us even to go in that van, you know, stuff like this. And we'd rent everything because we had nothing, right? And we'd come back, and I think I'd have, what, $7? I think, or was it $8? You know, clear. But that was a lot of money anyway, so why not? We had a good time, though. And
Gene was booking the gigs?
No, Vern Hudson. And Gene Cook, a bit too, from where he worked at Music City also, I guess, yeah. So a little bit of both, I guess. But Vern Hudson was the man. When he'd say jump, we'd say, okay, all high. We'd never argue with him ever, because he was the man. If he'd say, no, you're wrong, we'd say, okay, I'll fix it, you know. So just wanted to stay with the band, right? So, and then I'd seen a Beatles show about, it happened to be Rain playing, from California, I believe, eh? And they were playing at the exhibition, and I had a free pass from the Star Phoenix. I was working at Star Phoenix then also. And what happened, I went there and I could hear this Beatles music, and I thought, oh yeah, nice tape music they got going there. So as I'm getting closer, I thought, yeah, I'm going to rock and roll to this music and listen to the tapes. But it was the Beatles. They were dressed up with wigs and the whole bit. And that's when it struck a nerve, like big time. So then I started learning music a bit about the Beatles, because Beatles is so intricate to do. And they take a G chord and they make an augmented and a diminish and whatever else. I think they throw a shovel in there, and I'm not sure, 2 spikes or whatever it is. So I went and I asked Doug Hergott. I said, what do I do for Beatles? I says, you know, I want to do Beatles, man, you know. He said, well, Ovie, do you know how to sing harmony? I says, yeah. He said, okay, learn. I said, you'll find the chords. And that's what he told me. And that's basically what I did also. And did that part, and then we started. It was what year about? Did I play? Yeah, I played after '85 for a bit with a guy called Jesse. Was called. He was an Elvis impersonator apparently, and he was real good singer. Oh, he was great. We did some country rock. He was the man. You know, the guy had a voice. Oh man, just great voice. So we played a bit, but not that much. We traveled like in small town by Humboldt and Quill Lakes and etc. Right, and it didn't last too long. It was here today and gone tomorrow, that show. So, but anyways, then finally, now I want the Beatles. That was always in my mind. So then I believe it was, and me and Ken had not gotten together yet. So I think it was 1990 we got together then, 89, 90, somewhere around there, I believe. And we started doing the group England, a trio, because Ken played left-hand bass on his keys and that, and we did that, but I wanted the Beatles, you know, my heart just wasn't anywhere else but. So we decided to get a bass player, I believe, and which happened to be, who in the heck was it now? Well, no, Ken played left-hand bass on keys, and then Brad MacIntosh was our drummer. That's what it was, yeah. And then we auditioned guys, and then finally got a hold of this guy by the name of Glen Royer. And it never dawned on me, but he was from St. Louis. He lived about 3 seconds from where I used to go to school. But, there's an age thing of probably 10, 15 years, whatever it is. We have difference in age there. But we tried him out, and plus he had an English accent. Nice Métis kid with an accent, like it was like, whoa, what a knockout. So we started practicing, and he knew all the Beatles songs. And bonus, and then me and Ken knew quite a few of them too by now, because we wanted to be Beatles, right? So we played some shows in Edmonton. We went there, and the best part I like about this one is, what's his name, used to play for Jonah. The leader of Jonah, I forget his name now. So then he used to work at Axe Music, and I said, how does that guy get to play in this town? Because we played Reds then, but I said, I want to play at Reds. Good luck, Pilon. We tried with our show with the Eagles. That's what it was, right? Kevin McDade, that's what it was. He says, good luck to you. And I figured, well, I'm going to try. And I did, and the guy said, well, how good are you? I said, we're the best, man. I wanted to sell myself all the time. I wanted to be the best. Like they said, put yourself over there, even though you're here, right? So anyways, we did that part, and we played there, and then he hired us twice after that also. And the funniest part is, they had a big screen behind us, so we kept on looking at it ourselves. Glen Royer, that was so funny, man. And then we worked on our third million, because we hadn't made anything in the first two, right? And that's how it started. And then I lost my voice in 19... before that, I met with... we wanted to change. Glenn said, let's change it from England to Liverpool, because it's a different identity. And I said, well, sure. So then I spoke to Laurie Curry, which he played with Liverpool, and I said, is there any chance we could use that name itself? He says, Ovi, you can use it, but don't F up the name, he says. Because I knew they were good, right? Because I'd caught them opening up for Trooper a long, long time ago. So we did that, and so now we've been doing shows and stuff like this, and played the road with this guy by the name of Terry Hoknes, and I couldn't quite relate that to Bob, but it didn't matter anyways, there's Pilons, there's Hokneses, right? And then great player, enjoyed playing with him. We had lots of laughs, and like Glen Royer would say, he talks too much, though. He talks way too much. And
I've never heard him speak.
So we did that, and did quite a few shows in Saskatchewan. Then we did some, what do they call it, shows in Alberta. And then you get a bit older, and I'm not sure why we slowed down for a bit, but when you slow down, every time they change managers, they have their own groups. They've got their 15 groups, and then the other manager liked us, so we were part of that 15 group, right? So, and that's how it works, I guess. And then we decided we were called Liverpool for doing that. Then we started. Then Rob Hodgins said, I got a gig for you guys. There's an agent from BC who's going to phone you guys, and through Alberta also. And so Zeno Inez is his name, and he gave us some good breaks to play. And he said, I'll send you guys to BC to do a show out there, And I'm not sure who came with us now. Did Terry come with us then? Yeah, he did, yeah. Terry came with us, and Brad MacIntosh, I believe, and Glenn, and me, and we went there, and then came back, and I guess the results were not too bad. And the good thing is, then Rob says, why don't you guys do some Ed Sullivan shows then? Because you did the Creedence there, and they really like Creedence, he says, and the Beach Boys and that, and the Beatles. And they say too much about our Beatles. Maybe they've had too many good ones out there already, I don't know. But they liked the thing anyway. So then we did, I think it was Steve Shannon. Steve Shannon was doing something, and we learned some more different things in that. And we had some pretty funny, good shows anyways with them. Then I believe we used what's his name, Les Barrington as our Elvis guy, and it was a lot of fun, you know, doing. Then brought in the odd person coming in. Debbie LeBlanc was one of them that would do some shows with us, different impersonations and that. And I think we did some, besides the Beach Boys, Creedence, Beatles, whatever, maybe Paul Revere and the Raiders. I don't remember which ones we did, but we did quite a few of them. And that's like kind of the way it all started. And then started doing that at the German club. And then people, you know, 90 years old and up started coming, and that was great. It's an older crowd, you know, they're a lot of fun. I love them to pieces. And yeah, they start about 50 years old, I guess, 50 to 90, I guess, and beautiful people. And then we left there, then went to WDM and did our shows there, our Ed Sullivan shows. And so it's great. It's a good time. People, they like you, they love you. Then now started doing also some country shows, Grand Ole Opry, alternate, you know, the Ed Sullivan Grand Ole Opry show, and that's basically where we're at. You know, it's right now, but except for the pandemic, that's slowed things down for a whole year. I don't know what's going to be happening here, but as far as playing the German club, we probably played there 5 times a year. Same thing with WDM after we left there, and so it's pretty fun, you know. So and that's basically where it's at.
Tell me about some of the highlights, your favorite gigs you've ever played.
My favorite gigs I've ever played, I guess, is going back again, is it was, what year was it? 1991 or 1990, I guess. There's a band, Powder Blues Band was coming in to town to open up for, and I believe it was Chubby Checker, I think, or somebody. And what happened? Some band could not make it to open up with them. No, Powder Blues Band was the band, and they were bringing in a band from BC. That's what it was also, because they carry their own warm-up acts, I guess. They couldn't make it, so we opened up, and that's when we started playing more after that, because people said, wow, that band played for this and that. And then we opened up for Chubby Checker shortly after that. And then during that time also, we got to play in Craven. It was about 1991, I believe, played in Craven, and that was a thing about a little bit political, I call it. My brother Hubert knew the Father Lowry there, and he was the big man in charge there, right? And which I've never met to this day, you know. And we played there once in '91. They said, "Hey, this is all right. We're booked for next year, but we'll book you for the year following." And we played there in '93 also in Craven, and that was great. Did that part, and that was another highlight. And the other highlight was when we opened up for Southern Pacific, which happens to be 2 guys in the Doobie Brothers, McVie and the drummer, whatever his name is, and Creedence Clearwater Revival bass player, Stu Cook, and Pablo Cruz, keyboard player. And now the drummer was, drummer was the guy from Doobie Brothers, and then went on stage, and when they did, I remember they did China Grove in Roy City. I was with us then playing, and he just buckled. Like he said, I don't believe it, because they did, when they did their warm up, they did China Grove in the afternoon, right? And then it was our turn to practice, and the guy says, well, I used my amplifier, is what I did first of all. And he said, you know, man, you can use my amp. You know, I guess I was not the type that kicks amplifiers or something. He says, but don't turn too many knobs, but you can use it. So I used actually McVie's amplifier. Just like, whoa, was that ever great, man? So I did that part, and that was pretty big actually, because I grew up with watching the Doobie Brothers and that Creedence Clearwater Revival, and then we opened up for Nazareth. We did a couple shows for Nazareth, and the funny thing with Nazareth is 1969, I caught him at the barn in Saskatoon playing. I never thought in the world I'd open up for these guys. Then I opened up for them twice. I know we were the wrong band to open up for them, but we did. You know, that was the thing, right? So we did it once, and we did it twice.
And you were also in Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Yeah, Mark Lindsay. We'd done all these shows, so Rob said to us, hey, this is all right, you know, like, would you like to do some work? He said, I mean work, to study the music of Mark Lindsay of Paul Revere and the Raiders. He came in, and I said, sure, you bet. I wouldn't never say no. There would have been the Queen that said, yeah, I'll do it. And So to make a long story short, we practiced his music, and when he came in, he says, "Oh no," he says, "I don't do it. I do it on the flat." You know, so one half a note more. I said, "Why don't not the full note?" Well, maybe we can, but I don't quite remember how it went. But we already knew it anyways. And that was great. We stayed with him for a couple days, and played the show itself. And he said, the best place to practice in is in the bathroom, he says, because you can hear harmonies real well, you know. So, but anyways, that was great doing that. And then shortly after that, we did, because when you do one, then you got many, right? It seems they believe in you now, right? And then we did Billy Joe Royal, and that was great. Except Ken says, "I don't like the band because they stole my throne." They stole his throne he sits on for his keyboards, you know. So. And what else did we do? And then I played with Buddy Knox, you know, which he happened to have a couple of drinks too many. I remember he'd do a song, he'd say, "Well, for our next song, I'm going to do Party Doll." I'd say, "Buddy, we just did it." You know, he'd forget, right, 3 minutes later, because he had a few drinks.
Where was that at?
Well, we traveled a bit Saskatchewan, like Prince Albert. We did the different places in Prince Albert. I'm not really sure which they were. And in town here also. And there was some called the Over the something gang, they were called. What were they called? Over the, whatever they were called. And we played for them and stuff like this, and it was pretty fun actually. Yeah. Then, but going before that was 10 years before that. Ron, what's his name? Clemens took over my gig. I think he traveled with Vern Hudson. They went with Buddy Knox to travel for a bit, or Lloydminster and Alberta and Edmonton possibly. But so that's basically my life, I guess, in a sense, and I'm not sure who else I opened up for. There must have been somebody else. I can't think right now, you know.
We kind of quickly skipped over Turnpike Revue.
Well,
with that group?
Yeah, well, Turnpike Revue was basically the band changed from Josh Crabshaw to Turnpike Revue because we wanted to wear the tuxedos. And Vern says, "We're not going to go with that thing." We'd listen to him, right? "We need tuxedos made." And the funny part is, his girlfriend, she makes tuxedos, and every time we'd play a gig, there'd be thread falling down. It's so funny that, you know, they were falling apart. You know, she was so good that they'd fall apart, but that's okay. You know, there we were with our beige and brown, I believe, but Vern was the man. Oh yeah, if he'd say jump, we'd say okay, how high, right? He picked the songs, and it was MOR music again. You know, the Doobie Brothers, Creedence, and on and on. That's. Did a lot of that.
How much of the lineup from Josh Crabshaw was the same?
Josh Crabshaw and Turnpike Revue was basically the same, except Turnpike, I think we picked up Bruce, what's his name, he used to work at Arcade Music. I know Bruce very well, but whatever, he joined up with the group itself, yeah. And yeah, so that was pretty cool actually. Well, there was a thing also, I remember, since Bruce said, oh, what is Bruce's name, man? Come on, man. You get old, you forget, right? So, I remember Chuck Berry came to town, and he wanted to have a Fender amp with Altec speakers. I had the Altec speakers in my amp. It was not a Fender, though. That might have been a Peavey, I'm not sure. So he took Bruce's amplifier, and then I think they gave me probably $20 or $10 to use my speakers, to put in my Altec speakers, to put in his amp. So that was kind of a cool thing, though. You know, I mean, oh, big deal, right? So maybe I even got nothing like at all. I don't remember now. And so that would have been the very late 70s, I guess, when you played at the exhibition. So, yeah. So
you basically have 3 bands during the 70s. Do you remember any highlight gigs that any of those bands did?
I don't think, the only one we did, the highlight gig, would have been, I think, One Horse Blue in the 80s. Yeah, that would have been the only one. After that, that's when we became big stars. Like the whole world wanted our band. Just kidding. But anyways, before that, it didn't matter because we wanted to be rock stars. We're young punks. We're not going to make anybody a rock star. They'd have probably said the Beatles. We said, who the heck is the Beatles? We're the group here, Josh Crabshaw, right? So, but anyways,
what kind of outfits did that group wear if you were...
Josh Crabshaw, well, probably what I'm wearing now. You know, it was rock and roll, right? And that's the way we dress, right? And we had Turnpike Revue, then we had denim tops with the jeans and that. Not quite denim though; they were longer and a bit more classy than denim, I guess. Whatever, but and then we had the tuxedos, and yeah, that was more of a classy group. And I think we played Top of the Inn. I think if I vaguely remember there, yeah, we may have played 1 or 2 gigs there. Like I said, Vern would just we showed up like we still loaded and unloaded, but he was the man. Oh yeah.
So you're rhythm guitar in both of those groups?
Yeah, yeah.
And you did some lead vocals?
I did some, yeah, I did more and more. I probably did 9 songs by then, right? So, and because everybody sang, right? Bruce sang, and Vern sang, and Gene Cook sang, and on, right? So.
And who started Dusty?
Dusty, well, when the guys picked me up for their band called, whatever it was, that I think Bob was playing for at one time, he went one way, and then they stayed. A couple of them played for whatever it was. And I said, well, are you sure what would they call it? I don't remember what their name is now, but whatever they were called. And I said, well, let's call it something else. And maybe Rob Hodgins was the one for that. And he said, there's a group that was called Dusty. And he says, I think maybe, what's his name had it, Schaefer. I think Schaefer may have had the group called Dusty, but he said they never lasted. It came and went. And I think Rob had the name, I think, So we did that, and he says it's appropriate, it's great for the ag-bag drag, agricultural and all that stuff, right? So that's why we called it Dusty. And even though we do some couple Beatles songs, so The Night Before by the Beatles and stuff like this, but it was still with the cowboy hat, so people said, oh yeah, it's a country band, So
What? Who did the bookings for Dusty?
I did a little bit of it, and they had some from the previous band, because for weddings and whatever else also, right? And Ag-Bag dragged them, and they said, well, let's join up with what's his name, with Rob Hodgins, and they were not too sure about that, but we did. And then Rob started booking us, yeah, with Northern Entertainment, so he started booking us. And then that was in the 80s, I believe, right? And when 1990 came, that's when Ken joined up with me, and I remember so well that Rob said, Ovide, he took me aside and says, I like the group. We used to audition for agents, and they'd come and they'd say, you're not ready yet, That's, we heard a lot of those, right? So one thing is you guys, I think you can cut it, but Ken has to wear a hat. I said, why? He says he's bald. So anyways, it wasn't easy for me to tell that to Ken, because I knew Ken was going to kill him, and sure as hell, Ken killed him, So anyways, so Ken had to think about that one. He put it on, and that's why that's his thing now. Ken wears a little hat, and everybody, no matter where we play, they say, well, where's that guy with the little hat on? So, and yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. He built himself a something out of, whatever. And
How did you land up meeting Ken?
At the rink. I met Ken at the rink, at the hockey rink. You go there and your kids practice or play a game, and Ken was cleaning up, working for the city, cleaning up the rinks, right? And we got talking about music. Well, I play for a band too, stuff like this. And where do you guys play? And on. And I knew I was looking also then, right? So that's kind of, you like my, whatever, my sales being that whatever threw at him, and vice versa. So that's kind of how we started, yeah. And it's been a lot of years. Well, England's been around for what, since the war, I think, isn't it? A long time. So, and off and on, and got a couple little breakups, but hey, we still do the odd gig, and it's fun. Enjoy it,
When did you start fixing houses?
Well, I started fixing houses, first of all, when they let me go at the Star Phoenix, which was a good thing, I guess, in 1990, I believe. And I had started a house, and right on 6th Street or 7th Street in Saskatoon here, and Star Phoenix let me go. And I figured, oh shoot. So I went into that, half done my house, and I went in a little corner and I cried. I seriously did. Because I had no money, man. I grew up, and my mom and dad were poor people too, right? And then I thought, well, I got to do something. So I went to Regina, I took my grade 12 French. And I passed it with flying colors, and the teacher there, I think her name was Thérèse. raise somebody, whatever. She says, Ovide, if you want a job, GST, if you want to work for the government, we'll have a job for you right now. So I said, hey, that sounds very good. Because I knew, I said, well, first of all, I said, I did a house. I think I did a house then. I think I made, was it $7 or $9 for the first house? And it sounds great when I say I did many, like I did 49 homes, right? But first house I did was like enough to survive, you know. And so did that, and 49 houses later, and then my son working out of town, and he said, why don't you buy a house? So I'm thinking about moving to Alberta. So I did go out there, and I bought a house to move there. And my kid says, if you want to sell it, you could probably make a few bucks with it. So I sold it. It was all about making money, right? So, and that's basically how I started. I remember good stories. You know, when I was playing at the, I'm going back and forth here, but it was about 1990. We played the exhibition in Saskatoon for the Beatles thing, and there was a lot of people watching us outside the concert. And we did the Beatles all dressed up, and they thought we were from California, which that's what, you know, whatever. That was the big thing, because you don't come from Saskatchewan with the English accent of Glen and Royer, right? So I'm working on a house right by the French school here on the Clarence, and a couple were stopped and looked at us, and they said, and one of my guys said, oh, we must be good looking, or something like this, whatever he said. He said, no, he said, but that guy there has got the hair, and he looks like that band I seen. And I said, where did you see this band? He said, there's a Beatle group, a tribute band playing at the university, at the exhibition. And I said, what if it's me? He goes, waves his arms as if another, you trying to kid me, buddy, you know? And that was us. You know, stories like that, right? So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's basically the beginning of a rock and roll. Like I said, if you want to make big money, like they say, get out of Saskatchewan. That's number one thing. But we have a good time at it. You spend $40 and you make 20, and that's what it's all about. You know, that's the story of the rock and roll.